Now, before myself and Simon get stuck in to greed, look, we got some responses from you to last week's show about anger and to the 7 deadly football sins in general. Don't forget, you can join in, tell us anything you want at Marathonbet Podcast. At Marathonbet Pod on Twitter, at Marathonbet Pod. Among those who've been in touch is Blair, who wants to make a nomination for the angriest person in football. Blair says Roy Keane is up there. Sadly, though, Keane has become a meme. He knows that this persona gets him gigs on ITV and Sky. Even as Ireland assistant, he put on a show in his press conferences. I think he's great entertainment.
Me too. I think actually he's authentic. I think, he's angry. I mean, what was it, Alfie Inga Haaland? Ask him if he was angry when he was playing, yeah, but I think what you get from Keane is a little bit of intolerance to some of the banal drivel he gets to listen to next to him on the couch.
I, of course, know the exact words from his book that he said to Haaland when he hurt him.
Yes,
I don't think you can repeat them in this platform. These are some other people who've just got a view on what is the worst sin in football.
Okay.
Paul Palmer spitting at someone. Well, we all know that's
pretty base.
In this country, it seems to be, in Britain at least, the absolute worst thing you can do. On the continent, they're a little bit more tolerant of it.
Fighting's pretty rank as well.
Yeah,
that one,
absolutely. North Manchester Ath says the biggest sin in pro football is declaring intent to leave for one of your rivals. He's referring specifically to Gabriel Heinze, who wanted to go from Manchester United to Liverpool.
And do you know who they were going to use to do that? Palace. They were trying to
flip him.
They were trying to sell him to Palace to flip him onto Man United, or the other way around.
Okay, Sean Dunning says commentators talking about the magical Anfield atmosphere, while you can actually hear the players shouting at each other. Well, Sean, I think.
I don't know about that.
No, I think
I've been at Anfield
and some of those Champions League nights in the last year or so. Give the lie to that, Sean. But you're entitled to your opinion. And finally, for this lot, Stuart H. Riley says joint scarves, utterly horrendous idea. And of course, he's talking about the half and half scarves that are on sale outside every ground. I don't think any British football fan over the age of 10 has ever bought one. They're all for tourists, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's a souvenir that said they've been to the game. Look, you can have your views of anything myself and Simon say, your views about the deadly sins that are in football, or even about the greed that we're going to talk about in this podcast. And again, that address for you to get in touch with us is at Marathonbet Pod. Now, coming up, myself and Simon will be choosing our Sinner of the Week. They'll be going into our sin bin to represent the sin of greed. Before that, though, at the other end of the human activity scale, it's the Marathonbet charity bet. Each week, Marathonbet give us a certain amount of money to put on the outcome of 3 football matches, and hopefully we will get them, and at the end of the season, we'll be giving a pile of money to chosen charities. I have to say, this is quite a high bar, because we have to get all 3 results right to get the money from Marathonbet. On the other hand, I also say they were very lenient last season, and even though we got none of them right hardly, they did still manage to give a significant amount of money to the charities that Simon and I chose. And we're joined by Dan Tors from Marathonbet as well, who will tell us how well we're doing with these things. I'm going to go first, actually, and against all information coming to you from the north of England, and of course, Dan, you're a Brighton fan, so you'll be happy to say that my first pick is that Manchester United will win on the South Coast and beat Southampton.
Yes, I was at the game on Saturday, Brighton versus Southampton. Obviously, Brighton went down to 10 men. Southampton.
Hang on, if that foul was so bad, Dan, I think you should send 2 Brighton players off.
It wasn't great, was it?
It wasn't great.
I'll give you that. However, I think Brighton were on top during that period. I think, personally, not just because of what happened Saturday, I think Southampton might struggle. So Man United at 11-10, I think, are a good bet. Okay, then secondly, I'm going to go down to the Championship. And again, going a little bit against form. Leeds are top and rocking. But I saw Swansea at the weekend, and I thought they've returned to the spirit of the football that served them so well over the past decade. They seem to have got the club back into its correct direction. And I think Swansea will get a point at Ellen Road. Yeah, good shout. Leeds obviously had a very good result again at the weekend, 3-0 away at Stoke.
Because they're really good.
They are really good. Nathan Jones under a bit of pressure as well at Stoke, but you're right in what you're saying about Swansea, and I think they could do well this season and a draw at 57-17.
Okay, and finally, and I'm trying to bring a little bit of joy into my own life here. Tottenham Hotspur, people may not have recognised, haven't won an away game, I think, in any competition since January. That's 2/3 of the year. This week they take their unworthy wares to the other side of North London. I've got Spurs to win at Arsenal. They've got to stop the rot somewhere. What a better place to start than at the Emirates?
They have got to stop soon. I think, as a Spurs fan, you're right about Poch going, because the rumours and the murmurs that he keeps mentioning, He could be gone by Christmas.
For a person who eschews all negativity, we know he keeps this famous bowl of lemons on his desk because he believes it absorbs negative energy. He's been himself quite negative at the start of this season. Yeah, I'm worried about it because I can see from the football team that they're not firing on even half pistons yet, are they?
No.
And I dare say they're outsiders at the weekend as well.
They are 49-25. So altogether, Danny, your bet for a £10 bet will pay £270.
Which is almost certain to come in, I reckon.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope so. 226 to 1, so a £10 bet pays £270, and we're best price in all those three selects.
Okay, let's end then by adding two more figures to our sin bin each week. We match the sins that Simon and I discuss to two people who represent them either permanently or just this week. And by the end of the run, we'll have got a lovely squad of footballers together to make a perfect team from. Simon, we're talking about greed this week. Who is your sinner that you're going to put into the
I'm going to micromanage it, Dan, rather than go global and look at the Gareth Bells or whoever else you might talk about. I'm going to take a specific player, and people might say, well, you always have to go at this player. But Pogba's greed on the ball and his side, his flash turn in the middle of the park cost Man United when they've got themselves back in the game because they lost possession. He immediately Palace went up the field and scored the third goal, which, maybe takes the tarnish off my tag of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer being the luckiest Norwegian alive.
Yeah, okay, you're going for Paul Pogba. I mean, I'm going to go for his teammate, or certainly club mate, because he doesn't get anywhere in the team, Alexis Sanchez. Now, whether or not Sanchez finds a club to take him in the next few days into Milan, seem to be planning to catch up with Juventus in Serie A by buying all Manchester United's problems. But his greed has got him into the place that he is. He was wanted by Manchester City, the best club team probably in the world, with Liverpool maybe barking at their heels. But out of pure extra few shillings, he decided to sign for a Manchester United team that was in turmoil already, and his attitude has led to even more turmoil there. So for me, the person who at the moment best sums up the sin of greed, and I don't know the fella from Adam, I can only see by the actions he's taken, which has led him to an unfortunate place when he should be at the peak of his career, is Alexis Sanchez. Okay, as I say, over the course of the remainder of this series, the Marathonbet Podcast, we will be building up more players to go into our sin bin to get to our ultimate squad. Thank you for listening to this edition of the Marathonbet Podcast with me, Danny Kelly, and Simon Jordan. We'll be back next week with another deadly sin. We don't even know what it is yet.